Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of the White Rice Network. I am your host, and the other host is my name is Kris Rubio, by the way. And go ahead, Brett.
And my name is Brett Davenport. It's an honor and a thrill to be here.
It took us a little like the technical difficulties of things, but just want to let people know this is gonna be the most easiest podcast. And Brett, go ahead and tell them what the layout of this podcast, basically, what we're doing.
Well, basically, we're going to break down hot topics, relevant topics, current events in the areas that you and I shared
Which is a lot.
like sports, which is a lot. Like
Yeah.
it's sports, entertainment, politics. We're going to get into a little extraterrestrial stuff. Whatever kind of piques our interest, but we're gonna
Everything under the sun. Everything under the sun.
But we'll find that probably we end up focusing on a few areas more than others, like sports, politics, and
Yeah.
sort of.
Okay, well, get the elephant out of the room. This week has been a pretty, as far as politics is involved. This video is, of course, a couple days after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And for the people that are, I would say, on either side of this political argument, what me and Brett, what we share is this is a terrible thing that has happened. So I don't know if you want to say anything, Brett, or you want to watch the video.
Yeah, it is political, but it's also like basic humanity. Like, a lot of people are trying to like justify this one way or another. And there's a lot of people saying, well, there's consequences to free speech. And then, like a lot of the people who celebrated what happened on social media have now gotten fired and stuff like that.
That's disgusting, by the way.
Well, this is
Utterly
quite a
disgusting.
contradiction hypocrisy, because, I thought there was free speech and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, so here's where free speech draws the line: when you start murdering,
Yeah.
when you start actually being violent. And it's not words that are violent or hurt your feelings, but physical, harmful actions. And I think there's a lot of reasons for this, but we have become desensitized to actual violence and are somehow living in a world where a lot of people are detached from basic human reality beyond just what your political affiliation is. This is not just a political disagreement. We have our views. We're not completely aligned politically, but I think what we could both agree on is that even if we saw this happen to a political figure, or not even a figure, somebody that we both felt were terrible people who were doing nothing but negative things for society, unless that person is going around inflicting harm on people physically, we would also be devastated if that happened to that person.
100%.
Someone we don't really like or agree with or whatever.
Question real quick, Brett. What were you doing at the moment that somebody told you it happened? Like, how did you find out?
Well, I won't say who it was, but I was on the phone with a family member, and my wife saw it on the television. And that family member found it to be humorous. And then we kind of had it out for like an hour and a half. It's disappointing to see people do that, because it kind of makes me hard to trust you as just like a basic person now. If you
That's what I say. That's what I feel.
For murder, because it's like
you're justifying murder,
right? But now it's like, well, what if I do or say something you don't like? I'm going to be okay with violence being inflicted upon me. And so I'm definitely going through this thing where now, after a couple days, I'm trying to kind of temper my response to the people who are like that. I mean, give them some understanding, even though I think it's abhorrent that you took glee in a person's death. Not trying to be judgmental of the judgmental, because then it's still you being judgmental and you being hateful or angry because someone's being hateful or angry.
I am happy about the government employees being fired for just taxpayers' dime, cheering the fact that they actually are happy because of this murder. So I'm happy that they're being fired, me personally.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's I even there's the video of the people who worked at like FedEx office or whatever that printing store was, and they refused to print the signage of his.
I saw that. What a freaking!
It's like,
that's so maddening. That's so mad. Like
people need to
it was the
understand
entitlement. Like, oh no, it's propaganda. What?
Right.
That just
Well, but,
happened.
but anybody, regardless of where you align politically, should be able to watch a video of that person saying that and be like, this person is off. There's something wrong with this person. Like they're not articulating an intelligent position. There's something wrong with this person, and it's like people who are like, oh well, you know, the people who there's people now who are like who said that what happened to him were the consequences of his hateful speech,
Of his.
right? But then when people are getting fired, those same people are like, well, where's the First Amendment now? Where's the First
Yeah.
Amendment now? And it's like a private employer doesn't have to keep you on as an employee for any reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they could fire you because you smell bad,
Yeah.
because
The private sector is
whatever.
different.
And like you're in the case of that, like the person who refused to print out that signage, it's like you're also not taking in business and money that you could be taking in because of your political beliefs. So now you're
Exactly.
actually just costing the business money.
Yep.
So that person has no obligation to keep you on as an employee. Just like a few years ago when all the trans stuff started getting more and more
With the
prevalent
Budweiser things.
Yeah, if someone came out and said, you know, the hell with trans people, I don't like trans people, blah blah blah, and then those kinds of people got fired. It's
Yeah.
like, yes, you had the right to say you had a problem with trans people, or you are hateful towards trans people, or don't think they should exist. But now your employer has the right to fire you.
Exactly.
So it's not like your right, it's not like your First Amendment right was taken away. You still got to say it. You're not in jail.
And
But you
plus,
don't
you're
get to be
fucking with
hired.
people's money. You're fucking with a company's
Yeah.
money. And we all know money is what makes the world go round. What was it, Staples or was it Office Depot that this,
I think it was Office Depot.
was it Office Depot?
But but that so like people who are conflating or acting like there's some sort of inconsistency with the First Amendment, it's like no, it's pretty simple. You can say what you want. You can't just go around murdering people and
Exactly. It's as simple
punching
as
them
that.
or inflicting. That's it. There's no need to argue beyond that.
Yeah.
That's where it starts and stops.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like
I mean, hate speech,
Yeah.
it is free speech. I mean, everybody's definition of hate is very subjective depending on the person that you're talking to.
well, some people think hate speech is saying something that I don't like.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people.
And that's not hate
That's-
speech. In fact, you can insult people. You can say, "I think you're a moron. I think you don't go to jail.
Yeah.
You don't get murdered, right?
Yeah.
And you don't go to jail. Like you're legally allowed to do those things. Is someone an asshole for name calling and pestering and antagonizing people and provoking people? Yeah, that person's an asshole. And yeah, you don't have to interact with them. And yeah, you don't have to include them in any group you're in or hire them or whatever. You just don't get to kill them.
Yeah.
That's
I hate those people. Like I just can't talk to him. Well, he got what he was asking for. You know, I had a big argument yesterday with some dude on the basketball court because we were talking about this very same situation, and he's like, "Well, it's the same thing. If like you're an OnlyFans like girl and you're walking in a bad neighborhood, you know, and you're showing your cleavage and stuff like that, like things are gonna happen." And I'm like, yeah, things could happen. I mean, you know, you shouldn't carry a briefcase full of money in a bad neighborhood, but it's like you don't rape a woman just because she's wearing whatever she's wearing. You know what I mean? It's like
she could be walking through that same neighborhood completely naked with a briefcase with $100,000 in it. Like, what does that have to do with
that's what I
basic
mean. It's like, oh, they
law?
were asking for it. What?
Well, that's a
There
real
is
slippery
a
slope.
certain truth to that though, but still.
Right. There's a truth to that in the sense that if you were talking to a loved one, maybe do something that you would warn them about the potential dangers of that. But we're talking about like legally, you don't have a right to do anything like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why this is a confusing issue for people.
Well, let's go ahead and straight into this video, and then we'll give you our 2 cents about it. So. Hold on a minute.
In the wake of the murder of Charlie Kirk, celebrated in death for his embrace of freedom of speech in life, tensions over speech are flaring. Utah Governor Spencer Cox on Friday calling for calm.
Charlie posted to social media, when things are moving very fast and people are losing their minds, it's important to stay grounded. Turn off your phone, read scripture, spend time with friends, and remember internet fury is not real life.
But in the wake of Kirk's death, online fury indeed, and swift reaction to it, two faculty members at East Tennessee State University, among several in academia facing backlash, placed on administrative leave following complaints about their online comments. In Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis' education commissioner issued a warning to teachers making disgusting comments about the shooting. Writing in a memo, I will be conducting an investigation of every educator who engages in this vile, sanctionable behavior. Govern yourselves accordingly. The fallout also appearing in corporate America, Delta Airlines announcing it suspended several employees over their social media posts.
By the way, I'm all for this. All for this.
I'm sorry. We don't
Yeah, because like I was
Office
saying,
Depot.
this
What
is
was that?
just a matter of like basic human decency. And if you're someone that's rooting
yep.
for someone's murder, there's other areas now that I can't trust you.
And there's
as
something
an
in there.
employer-
Have you noticed this too, Brett? Like, I've seen like the montage of all these people celebrating. There's
Yeah.
something demonic in their eyes. I can't really.
Yeah.
There's something in their eyes. It's just like it's like things that I see in horror movies. You know what I mean? It's like it's like they're possessed by something.
Well,
It's weird.
I saw someone make a good point, and it wasn't something I thought about until they said it, which was now a lot of these people in college are
Yeah.
of the age that been about 5 years or so now since COVID. They, in the peak, some of the most important social developmental years of their lives, were stuck inside staring
yeah.
at a computer screen for every aspect of life, including their education and their socializing. There is an innate detachment from people when that's all the only interaction you have with people is on this thing, on social media. You see them as a flat one-dimensional being on a computer screen rather than a three-dimensional person in real life.
Yeah.
The thing, like people who are vitriolic online, right? The people who talk shit on our videos, who, our comedy or your basketball videos, those people would never come up to you in real life and say those
Never.
things.
Never.
Not in a million years. But these weak-minded, weak-souled people are, and I don't even want to demonize people to that degree. I mean, I want to give some grace to people who were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old in 2021, 2022, 2020 and had to stay inside, and now there's developmental issues, there's social issues.
Yeah.
I want to give some
It's a
grace for
shame.
people like that, but I also want to be honest. You had a bizarre upbringing in some of the most key fundamental years of your life. And so maybe that is part of the reason why people are so comfortable being detached from humanity and basic life and death. It's not real to them. I think we live in this society now where there's so many factors at play, but social media, not interacting with other people in real life, it creates this detachment from people that didn't used to be the case. I mean, Derek Lewis, the MMA fighter, the
Yeah.
UFC fighter?
Yeah.
Big black dude from Texas, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's dealt with discrimination and racism his entire life. The guy went to prison. Okay, so I'm sure. And there was the floods in Houston a few years ago. He had a giant pickup truck that was able to kind of navigate some of the flooding and whatever. He saved a person who had a Confederate flag on there.
Wow.
And one of the reporters asked him, why? And he was like, that doesn't matter in a time like this. I saw a human being dying and I saved them. If that guy can have that kind of grace and maturity and humanity, some angry liberal white kid can find it within themselves to overcome that atrocity of what he said and what he espoused. And by the way, I want to make it abundantly clear. I've heard there's things that Charlie Kirk has said that I've seen that I think are not correct thinking.
Yeah.
That
100%.
is
Me too.
not especially he would claim that he wasn't using Christianity to justify some of his positions, and then and then you would listen to his argument, and it's like, oh, you're mostly using Christianity to justify this
Yeah.
position. So it's and I like some of his positions on diversity and equity and inclusion. It's like, I fly almost every weekend for my job. When I see a woman or a black person as the pilot, I don't think to myself, oh, I don't know if this person can fly a plane.
She's a DEI
And he
hire.
said something to that effect.
Yeah, he did.
I don't like that. I don't think that's you don't get killed. And that is it is as far as I'm.
Well, it's
And as far as
disturbing
any
because
decent person,
Oh no, go ahead.
No, that's it. I just think it's a matter of something has happened in society where I don't know if there's more people with antisocial personalities disorders than there used to be.
I
I
think
think I
there are.
saw a statistic of like 1.5 people out of 10 were either a sociopath, a psychopath, or Machiavellian. I'm starting
Shit.
to wonder
We're in
if because
trouble,
of
bro.
yeah, but I'm starting to wonder if that number is actually significantly higher, and I wonder if maybe there is. If you think about what has been the big thing that has impacted all of our lives over like that is anybody who's been alive for more than 20 or 30 years has noticed. It's all that we have these stupid things. We're on them all the time, communicate through these things, and algorithms and other things have incentivized us to be hateful and extreme.
Yeah.
And I think people are so oriented towards those people who did that. They honestly thought that they would somehow be rewarded for that kind of reaction. And to their defense, they probably were in the past.
Yeah.
They probably were by the people in their peer group or people online or professors or whoever. These kids have been incentivized to be this way. And it's not just kids. I've seen older people too, who, I mean, Stephen King had some
He had to
moronic,
apologize for
abhorrent.
his post.
Yeah, he's only apologizing though, so people go out and watch his demented movie. And that's the other thing.
Exactly.
This guy whose mind is clearly enraptured with pretty messed up stuff,
Yeah.
is the most compassionate person in the world. Like he's like this bleeding heart progressive. It's like your whole life has been about murder and twisted shit.
Yeah.
Who are you to be a moral compass of anything? And it's just you want people to go out and see your movie, so you apologize.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's exactly what that is, bro.
It's like
It's
it's a
troubling.
relief when you meet. It's a relief when you meet a person who is just not, who isn't operating on basic primal primitive instincts. It's like it's almost a rare thing now where it's like, oh man, you and I are different. We disagree, and you weren't an asshole to me. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a rare thing these days. And I wonder if it's not as rare as we think it is. It's just social media and the climate and everything has us viewing people who look at the world differently than us as enemies. And we both know comedians. Again, I'm not going to say their names, but we know comedians who get into this kind of stuff when they talk on stage. And what they do is they make the most simple-minded, reductive argument on behalf of the other side. And then they tackle that. They don't ever like give the other side some credit that they may actually be an intelligent person with a unique perspective and
Yeah.
some nuance. They say, oh, you're on the left, you're a purple-haired, demented psychopath who believes this. And it's like, you could have been someone who voted for Hillary Clinton who doesn't like the Republicans and you're perfectly normal, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I know people who voted for Trump because they owned a business, and during the pandemic, they were faced with a pretty simple with a simple choice. Continue voting with these people, and you won't have a business. Or I'm going to support these people now who seem to be in favor of me keeping my business open.
Yeah.
And that's why they vote the way they do.
Yeah.
Does that make them a bigot or a transphobe or a racist? But people will take a person like that and say, you're all of those things. It's just better for me, and it's simpler
I've been
for
a
me
victim
to
of that.
make you into. Yeah, it's just easier for someone to make you into a monster if I attribute the worst of anything you're associated to, even if you don't have those views. And I think people do that across the spectrum.
Well, the left
I
has a
don't know.
problem
I don't
because
know.
this assassination has pushed a lot of people that are in the center a little bit more right,
Oh yeah.
And it's
Oh yeah,
it's
or people who are hardcore leftists that are just simply like, I can't I think the same way.
Yeah.
I have the same views that I've always had. You people are now so repugnant that I can't associate with you.
Yeah.
And I think what you're going to find it, and there's a thing that I that really drives me nuts is what people do. They either say everybody thinks like this, or half the country thinks like this. And it's like, it's not 50-50. There's a bigger segment of people disgusted by the two-party system than there are people who are avid fans of either party.
Yeah.
So it's never half the country this, half the country that. When you
But
say
people
it's half the
people want to reduce it to that. That's the problem. It's like
it's just statistically, it's not that. I mean, more and more people are registering as non-party affiliated or
or independent. Yeah.
So when you say half the country, you're just not being accurate. You're talking about 20% or 10% of the country or
Yeah.
30% of the country, given whatever issue you're talking about. So it's just, I wish there was some way we could just have like a reset and get back to just a basic humanity.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm kind of losing hope.
Well, dude, I think is what you have to do is just be even more concerned with your immediate circle,
Yeah, yeah, 100,
like your wife,
100%.
your friends,
Yep,
your job,
yep.
your way of life, you having the best life you can, and you can't, unfortunately, control the zeitgeist. I definitely feel different
Yeah.
after this. I'll be perfectly open. I used to be a hardcore liberal. I used to think that anybody who made money was probably a scumbag and hated people who were poor and this, that, and the other. But then as I went out into the world, I realized that
As you got older
that's not
too.
as I got older and had life experience, I realized that was not the case.
Yeah.
And at this on the same in the same breath, I am graceful towards when I see some 18-year-old embrace communism and try to
Oof.
argue on behalf of communism. And it's like, well, of course, an 18-year-old who feels completely inadequate in the world and has no chance of success and is being incentivized to adopt this ideology. Of course, they think that way. Like, why wouldn't they?
I
They
mean, I
have
was a
no.
socialist when I was young. I mean, I shouldn't define
Yeah,
social. Like
it's
I
a
believe when I was young, I was like, oh no, like, everybody could get together. It's a very communal kind of community. Yeah, yeah. And then you grow older, you're like, oh no, people are fucking shitty. And I don't know, man.
Communism works with you and one other person,
Yeah,
maybe two
communism
other
works
people.
in a small circle. Like
Right.
like I'm a big communist when it comes to my family and my friends, like my close friends. Like if you want to come to my house, go come my house. Whatever. But the people outside that circle, it's kind of hard for me to practice communism like with random people I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, and then also you get to a point where you realize there's nothing admirable about a political philosophy or worldview that says, when you're sitting next to some rich person to turn to them and say, "Hey, give me half your shit."
Yeah, yeah,
And it's like, what is like so admirable about that?
yeah.
Like you're going to another person who's earned something and saying, "Give me that."
I mean,
You
you've
know,
seen that
it's
Patrick Bet David versus that capitalist versus thing down Jubilee, right?
yeah. I felt like he could have done it. I felt like there could have been a better representative of
There
capitalism.
could have, but my thing is every person that debated with Patrick Bet David looked like the way they feel.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They
yeah,
like there's a certain look and like, oh well, you look exactly what you're going through.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
something about it,
Well,
man.
also you look at like you said, you look at these people and it's like, who would I rather? Whose life would I rather have? Patrick Bet David's or
Yeah, yeah,
or yours? You look like you're barely keeping it together.
yeah, dude.
Yeah. And here's the thing, it's not new that the world has been unfair or that there's been inequity. That's been through time immemorial. I love the people who seem to think that their internal problems are all about the state of the world.
Yeah,
And it's like, so you need the world to be perfect in order to be mentally healthy? That's never going to happen.
yeah. Why don't you go to the gym and just pick up a weight?
Yeah, dude, it sounds simple, but my life completely changed when I decided that I am going to work out every day that I'm
It
physically able.
fixes a lot of things. Even though if
It
it
does,
fixes 5 to 10%, it's well worth it to do. You know what I mean?
and I bet people would find that it fixes a lot more than just 5 to 10%.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And it's amazing to me that people think that like somehow they're going to be mentally healthy sitting around looking at a computer screen or their phone all day, not being physically active, not trying to contribute anything to society, their family, and just like crossing people off the list of your life because they don't agree with what you agree with.
Well, I think I
How do
saw a
you think that's going
video of one random person that knew the person that committed the assassination, and he basically said like he looked like a Reddit guy. He basically
to? Yeah.
looked like he knew he was like spent hours inside a room just on Reddit.
And unfortunately, when you go on Reddit, I mean,
Reddit is
I
like the
don't.
4chan now, you know?
Yeah, I thought Reddit was just for like, bootlegging
Yeah,
OnlyFans,
that's what I
but
thought.
it's it turns out that there's a lot of weird,
A
twisted.
lot of weird shit that goes on Reddit, bro.
And then it's like, then you're going to commiserate with people who are already like that. So there's not any sane, healthy person in those chat groups regulating the content or moderating the content. So it's psychopaths leading psychopaths down dark holes.
Like literally dark holes, like black holes, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then that also world like leads to the whole like extreme conspiracy theory
Yeah.
world where everything is a conspiracy, and yeah, it's
I mean,
it's not good.
this is what happens. I mean, words have weight, and you can't keep
Yeah.
calling. You can't keep calling one side either Trump, Charlie Kirk, or people that are on the right side. You can't keep calling them fascists and all these horrible things without no proof, and then all of a sudden, try to pedal backwards when something horrible happens.
Well,
Hold on, weren't you for like 8 years saying that this guy was a fascist, and all of a sudden some guy does something about it? That's not what I meant. He was authoritarian. What do you mean that's not what you meant? Like,
Well, like Jasmine Crockett, you see Charlemagne confronted her about some of the stuff that she said about, and she's like, "Yeah, just because I said he's a wannabe Hitler doesn't mean I said he." And it's like, okay, right there. By equating him to Hitler, you do justify to people that he should. And then people, I love the people who like to say like it's a slam dunk on other people. Go read a book. Have you ever read a history book? And it's like, all right, let's bring back all the atrocities. You want to see what women's rights were throughout history? Do you want to go back to that time? This idiotic notion that political violence is a part of our history. It's like, okay, so you want to continue with that?
yeah.
You want to go back to the 1960s? Do you want to go back to the Roman Empire? Do you want to go back to Genghis Khan? What kind of... All it is just... That's the thing. Too many people's lives are predicated on how do I dunk on other people and make them look like idiots and make myself look better?
Oh, my
And you
God.
go through life your whole way like that. And it's like, no wonder you think that, or no wonder you're like the way you are and look the way you are. Look at your...
No wonder
like
why you want to
said,
pick a fight with everybody verbally,
Yeah, and it's also like you said, when you see these people, those kinds of people that we were talking about, do you ever look at them and go, I want to look like that?
Never.
I want to.
That's exactly what I said before to Patrick. But they look exactly like the way they feel. They're either out of shape. They have some sort of disease, some borderline autistic. It's like,
If you were to hook all those people up to a lie detector test, you would find out that they all have problems with themselves.
yeah,
And that their outer world is a reflection of who they are. It's a
Yeah.
basic principle that all of us are experiencing. I think that it's just more and more imperative to focus on your life, the people in your life that you care about, and to keep that circle really, really, really small, and just be aware of the world that we live in now and the people that populate the world now.
no, those are great words to live by, actually.
But yeah, I mean, I was saying earlier, like I've just become progressively more non-affiliated
Yeah.
party. I've never voted for a Republican, to my knowledge. I know in California I might have, because for a lot of the I don't know why California does this on the ballot, but a lot of like the city council and local positions, they don't put a person's party,
wow.
for like town supervisor and stuff like that or whatever. So I may have voted for a Republican, not knowing, but I've never voted for a Republican. But I can say pretty much at this point now that I'm never going to vote for a Democrat either. In the last election, I voted for Jill Stein. Not that I think she's great or had a chance of winning, but I felt that if I was going to vote, that the only thing that I could do that resembled my conscience was to vote against the two-party system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I was the opposite. I just voted Republican down ticket. I was just so disgusted
Yeah.
with everything, just out of spite. I
Yeah.
did vote for one Republican council person in Burbank. His name was Eric Early, and
I saw his signs. I remember.
yeah, vote early, Eric
Yeah.
Early. I'm like, yeah, that's it. I'm voting.
Yeah. Look, it's like I have a lot of hardcore Democrat people in my
Yeah.
life. I don't have so many, really hardly any Republicans that are in my circle or my family. When people are upset about things that like Trump is doing, Republicans are doing, I almost always agree with them. I
Yeah.
almost always agree with how it's being done is wrong and blah, blah, blah. But like with the issue of crime, it's like, yeah, I think the National Guard going into cities when the governor hasn't asked for that emergency help is not okay. It's a bad precedent. I don't know how helpful it is. I mean, I guess crime has dropped or whatever. But the other team's solution is to do absolutely nothing and to gaslight people who are victims of crime into saying there is no crime.
Exactly.
And that if you have a
Exactly.
problem with crime, it's really just a problem with you and you're a bigot. So at some point, you had to intellectually know that that wasn't going to work. Eventually, people were going to start saying, hey, I don't like being called a bigot because I don't want to be robbed. Someone I know got assaulted or murdered and nothing was done about it. And now I'm upset. And now I'm made to feel like I am a bad person. You
Well,
had to know that
that
gaslight.
Charlottesville situation, that completely got dominated by the Charlie Kirk thing, because Charlie Kirk.
Charlotte,
Yeah, I mean, sorry,
the
yeah,
woman being
Charlotte.
stabbed in Charlotte.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that was gruesome as fuck too. That was
Well,
maddening.
and then you have Van Jones on CNN
Oh my god.
saying that he was hurting, and
Yeah.
isn't it sad, and isn't the world unfair, and we have societal
Oh my
issues that
god, bro.
happen. Like, well, if that's the case, then everybody is justified to. And
Yeah.
whenever someone says this is a tragedy and this is wrong, but you can
You're done.
erase the first part. You can erase the first part of that sentence
Yeah.
because what you're saying is, sure, I'll acknowledge that this was wrong, but I actually have a problem.
Yeah.
I actually have a problem with how this gruesome murder. I actually have a problem with how that's being spun. And yeah, I'll acknowledge that the woman shouldn't have been murdered. But what's really the issue is how the right wingers are running with this.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then for Van Jones to also
piece of
say
shit.
this had nothing. This didn't have anything with race. How did it have anything to do with race? And it's like, well, maybe him yelling, "I got that white bitch,"
Yeah.
might be an
Exactly.
indication that it was at least partially motivated by race. So when people in the news, people who are supposed to be respected journalists, say things like that, things like this happen. And by the same token, when people on Fox News immediately jump racialized profiling and assumptions, and you have Jesse Waters on Fox News talking about this is a war now and all this kind of stuff, it's like, you're not helping.
Yeah, you're not helping this situation.
That's not
either.
helping at all.
Yeah.
So cable news is reflecting what social media is, and cable news became this thing where the most extreme positions were the ones that got editorialized, and completely going on one side or the other became an acceptable practice in news media. I don't know, man. I wish people understood that the majority of these politicians are former corporate lawyers who don't give a flying shit about you, your well-being, and they're taking positions to win elections
Yep.
because it is the opposite of what the other team is saying.
Yep.
And because there's only two teams, they don't really ever have to be more sophisticated than that.
Yeah.
All they have to do is beat the other team. I feel there should be at least two other political parties. There should be an offshoot of the Republican Party, and there should be an offshoot of the Democratic Party.
I think that's going to happen. I think that's
There should be
happening
at least
already.
4 parties.
Yeah.
And for all the people, and it's so funny, I've heard both actually I've heard more liberal people argue against adding more parties than I've heard Republicans, but they both don't want a third party. And I've heard people say, well, if you go throughout our country's history, it's just kind of always been this way. And it's like, oh, so we should continue on with bad policies and awful atrocities and terrible things that have. It's just, I think people want to brag about the fact that they think they've read a book, or that they've presented the illusion that they've read a book. There's literally. I mean, there's a comedian that we know who talks all the time about people need to read a book.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think you just like saying that.
Yeah.
Because you don't sound like you've ever read it.
Yeah.
Or
No,
you've read a
100.
book and that book has become your entire philosophy on life. It's like,
Yeah.
how about reading another book?
Yeah.
And how about stop making the assumption that no one has. It's so childish. And I think
Read a fiction book. Just
or stop devoting your life to trying to find petty little ways that you're better than other people.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. But
See,
I
I
don't know.
knew it.
Where do you
I knew talking about Charlie Kirk would give us at least 40 minutes.
I was gonna say, I was like, I don't know if we're gonna get to these other issues
We don't
here,
have
but
to. You know what I mean?
yeah, man, I'm glad. I am glad though that we didn't do this 2 days. 'Cause we've been trying to set this up for a while, and we've had technical issues. My
No, but this
car,
I mean this is great. I mean, you know,
but I'm
this
glad I'm glad we didn't do it right afterwards because I probably would have come on here and been a lot more emotional
yeah,
and
same.
not
Same,
in
same.
any way. And
It
I
usually takes
probably
a
would
couple
have.
days for me to go through, you know, because when the media is spinning shit, when I'm online, I'm on X, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, and I see all this information coming at all directions. It takes me a couple days just to be like, what is the truth? Just let me go back to baseline. Let me get back to normal. Because when that happened, man, I was so mad. I was blinded
Oh,
by my
I was
anger.
seeing red. I
Yeah,
was seeing red.
yeah,
I was seeing red. And I was willing to cut every person out of my life that I went through and saw their social media
yeah.
and found that they were trying to justify this or
I can't believe
giving
that,
the,
dude.
oh, you need a history lesson and our country's all about violence and that. Anybody who is trying to justify it, I was like, I don't care who you are. I never want to speak to you again. Now, with a couple of days of some reflection and whatever, I want to
I
give
still feel the
some
same.
grace. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I'm really only talking about one person that's
Yeah,
getting my
I know.
grace, who I kind of have to keep in my life.
Yeah,
Everyone else who is kind of an acquaintance or a friend or even a cousin,
yeah,
you can go to hell. And it's not even like you can go to hell. I don't want anything bad to happen with you, but I'm definitely not going to go out of my way to like go
yeah,
spend time with you or see
yeah,
you
yeah,
or anything like that. But because I just fundamentally kind of don't trust you now as a person. I hope you know
yeah.
gain some kind of clarity, but like it's just a basic human thing. I just got. And here's another thing I want to touch on that a lot of people did that it's like, and this is such an annoying like tactic that people use with persuasion is like, oh, you're upset about Charlie Kirk, but you're not upset about the kids getting shot in schools. And it's like,
I hate that.
at what point did I indicate that I wasn't
Yeah,
against that?
yeah,
And it's like, well, I don't see you getting outraged about that. And it's like, well, I didn't see anybody on my social media feed celebrating these kids.
yeah,
If I had, I would have said, oh wow, you're a scumbag and you're pretty much subhuman to me and I want nothing to do with you. If I had seen scores of people on my social media celebrating that, I would have had the same reaction. And then another argument people make is like, oh well, what if a politician you didn't like or someone you didn't like was shot like this? It's like, what would your reaction be? Mortified. If anyone aside from a serial murderer, heinous human being, anyone aside from that, I see you get killed in front of your kids, my first reaction is going to be horror and
yeah,
disgust and sadness.
yeah,
There's someone in my life ruined my family, abused me as a child.
yeah,
If I saw that man killed in front of his kids, I don't excuse you celebrating violent murder and
yeah,
in such a heinous way to be that inhuman. I depending on who you are, you can maybe be in my life sort of, but I will probably always keeping an eye on you and like looking at you kind of side-eyed. And for the most part, I just probably won't be in that's the thing I wanted to like, the whole thing with people conflating free speech and like, oh, there's some sort of an imbalance here where people are getting fired for this and why are they getting fired? I thought you were all about free speech. You got fired because you work for a private institution who finds your behavior reprehensible because you at that moment seem to be bereft of basic humanity. That's why
yeah,
you got fired. And like I said, an employer can fire you because you have bad breath. An employer can fire you because you pick your nose in front of the customers. An employer can fire you for whatever reason they want for the most part, unless they are discriminating against your religion or race or
yeah.
sexuality. Other than that, they
It's
can
game on.
fire you for what they deem character defects.
Yep.
So there should be no confusion about that. It's not a hypocrisy. It's not an imbalance issue. Free speech stops with murder. Not what you deem which is violence, which is you called me the wrong gender or you said a bad name. That's not violence.
Which in their mind, speech is violence.
Right.
So
But getting your face blown off
exactly.
on television.
It's the
in front
same
of your
thing. Don't
children.
you understand, Brett?
Right.
Same thing.
Right. So I wanted to clear that up, and then I wanted to clear up that the second part that I just cleared up, which was actually I completely forgot what I completely forgot what my point was. What was I just saying about people making the argument that
You're talking about people being fired in the private sector.
yeah, but before that, I was talking about the people being like, why aren't you upset about this, that, or the other?
Oh yeah.
And it's like the Minnesota Congress people that got assassinated. I didn't open my social media and see them getting their heads blown. I didn't see it. So I didn't have that visceral reaction. Once I found out about that, my thought was, what are we doing? Where is this country going if we're now kidnapping and assassinating? So when I found out about that, I was upset. When I found out about the kids in the school getting shot at, I was upset. When I hear about what's going on in Gaza, I'm upset. So don't do this thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to immediately make the assumption that because this bothers you, you're not bothered by others.
Again, that's such simplistic, stupid thinking. It's such a reductionist kind of thing.
Well, it's just this tit for tat thing.
Yeah.
At some point, we're going to have to end if things are going to get better. And you know, what I wish had happened, and I don't think it will, but I think it would go a long way, is if you had all the former living presidents go on television and acknowledge all of the political violence that has taken place in the last how many years, and all of them standing together and saying this has to end. We have to get off this highway because this is never going to end this way. It's always going to be, yeah, but you didn't get upset about this. Your team did this. So now it's my team did this. And I really wish people would get off these political teams. It's like the world is far more complex than Democrat and Republican. And these Democrats and Republicans who are actually in office, they're trying to raise money, get more power for themselves, and win another election.
People are not capable of nuance, man.
So why are we killing ourselves over these people? And not even that extreme. Why are you arguing with family members over these people?
Yeah.
Why are you disavowing family over these people? Why are you ruining Thanksgiving dinners? These people who do insider trading, who don't do anything to legislate for this country. Nothing gets done anymore. Yeah. Nothing of significance gets done. There is no bipartisan support of anything. You know, it's like these people are worth it. We have to get off this. We have to. I mean, and if society is not going to do it as a whole, we individually have to.
Why don't you start a third party, Brett? What would you name it?
Suck my D party. The non-party party.
Yeah.
The I don't like political parties party. The think for yourself party. How about let us all live freely as we are and not be pieces of shit to each other party? It's a little long on a ballot.
You can make it an acronym, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll come up with an acronym. Make it catchy.
Well, bro, that's exactly an hour, man.
And we didn't even get into Charlie Sheen.
No, we don't have to, bro, you know?
No.
But I think we should do, I mean, each podcast after this, you know, we should spend a specified amount of minutes. But this news was so big, it's like we have to talk about it. This is the only thing that's been dominating the airwaves for the past couple of days. So it's like justified.
Yeah, I'm surprised we talked about it for an hour.
Yeah. Oh no, there was no doubt in my mind. I was like, Brett could talk about this for 3 hours. Brett could talk about this for 3 hours. I know I could talk about it for 3 hours because I've been talking about it ever since it happened. So
let me ask you something real quick though.
Yeah.
The people in your life or like specifically in our circle, like say the comedians that we know that responded in a inhuman, heinous way about this. What is your approach going to be with those people going forward?
I don't really know. I don't really have an answer for it. Just again, in arm's distance. You know, like I'll be cordial, but you know, don't ask me to kick it with you. Like I can't. Not after that.
Yeah, there's not gonna be any more fist bumps and giving you the obligatory good set.
Yeah.
No more. Oh, good shit. You know, just be polite or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, comedians did show their true colors. You know,
for some reason, comedians, I guess we feel that like at every turn, every world event, we have to come on and make some pithy joke.
Yeah.
That's not nearly as clever.
I mean, I could appreciate a joke if it was done right, but
if it was a joke.
If it was a joke, but if you're a comedian and you're trying to preach your ideology on your fans and me. I'm like, no thanks, bro.
But I
think
mean, the
find you a
one
despicable human
comedian
being.
that without me having to say anything, and I'm not going to ever say anyone's name or like that on here, but without having to say anything, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Their whole act is about who they hate,
Yeah,
and
100%.
not at one point in their act do they do any self reflection about their short.
And they wonder and they struggle. And this is not the only comic that I know that's done this. And because I've seen it over and over again, they do great here in LA, but the moment they have a gig in Bakersfield or even Delano, they struggle to even come up with 5 minutes. It's because you live in a bubble performing here in LA that people outside of this place don't resonate with you. Like a lot of people from outside of LA, comedy is so much easier, yet for people like this or the person you're talking about, they struggle on the road. I've seen it
Well, yeah,
over and over again. Over and over again.
because here it's easier for them, because in some rooms here all you have to do is say the buzzwords that the people like and they
It's
clap
a
for you.
therapy session. It's
Yeah.
it's a what's that called? It's a everybody has a trophy session. You
Yeah.
know? It's
Or like the term clapter, where it's like, yes, you said the thing we all
yeah,
agree
dude.
with, and it's like,
Everybody
you know,
wins. Yeah,
isn't that a big part of the goal of comedy?
my goodness.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how I react to certain people when I actually see them in person. Like I'm not gonna say anything to someone. I'm not gonna be
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
I
yeah.
saw your post, you're a piece of shit. I also know me, and I don't do pretending to like you very well. It's probably been a
I'll
shortcoming
be
of my
cordial.
life.
I'll be cordial, But as far
Yeah.
as, taking the extra step to fist bump you or all that stuff, I'm gone out the window, bro.
I'm interested to see. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to say, don't you kind of feel like a bit of a sense of freedom, in the sense that, like, people here and people in the industry who you thought, or at least I thought, maybe would see my comedy or see some podcast clip and judge me in a way, and dismiss me as something abhorrent because I don't agree with them or I said something offensive or whatever. It's like, now I don't care what you people think at
Nah,
all.
yeah. Yeah.
And like, what are you
100%.
you think now that anyone's ever going to be able to get like reprimanded or something for a joke?
I
You
mean,
guys
look,
just advocated for murder. Like,
yeah.
what?
Me and you,
You have no moral high ground.
we both work for a company, that it's very corporate driven, I would say. As far as my company, it's like everything has to follow a certain structure. And just because it is, like, I'm not afraid. It's not like I'm saying vitriol things online or anything. I think me and you are pretty level-headed and pretty kind of mild. Now is I feel like don't I feel I shouldn't say much more braver now than I did before, but I definitely have another like confidence booster in my back. So
Yeah, yeah. What are you going to say to me because you didn't like my joke?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, man.
Yeah, bro. Well,
Well, I'm at 5% body power, battery power.
body fat.
Yeah, I wish. Maybe if I didn't eat for a week.
Yeah, dude. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and Brett, I'll give you a call right after this on the phone.
All right, peace, brother.
All right, man. Peace.